Hello, this is the second episode of our Roll 20 series. I guess it would be called our Burning Wheel Aranea series.
Yep.
um, Still here with Dylan, and
Hello, hello.
we are going to be continuing our little adventure. So last time, just to recap what was happening, we had the premier's ball. Um, Nousha and Qiaolian both arrived at the ball together as a couple, caused a scandal, were confronted by the premier for caught, uh, and I believe Furcott took notice of Nusha, so that's a possible complication for the future. And Qiaolian was able to use her incredible oratory skills to turn the crowd to their favor, and so Furcott retreated to go sulk with his cronies, and and Nusha went off on her own to speak to Feruza, the head of the Armorers Guild, about his business and try to get some intelligence. She misrepresented herself as a brewer's daughter, or distiller's daughter, and so was able to get some information from him about what was going on, but I believe you were only able to plant the idea that what was it now?
That the Guild of Notaries was overstepping its bounds, and that I think war also put the seed of war and conflict back into him.
Yes,
He
I'm
had
just trying to
risen.
remember how you did that. Um, it was
It wasn't ultimately a full success against him, but
yes,
got kind of his contact information and gave him a place to meet, which if he came looking for me, which was believe the shack that she owns.
yeah. I remember all of that. I'm just trying to remember what exactly you got him to think about the war. Um, I think there was like a rumor that you introduced to him. Um, so maybe it had something to do with your brother. We'll have to go back and I'll have to go back and try to watch through the last video to see what that
Yeah, I
was.
can't remember either. I
Um,
know that she definitely didn't intimate that her brother was her brother.
yes. Oh, totally. Of course. Yeah. No. I don't remember how who you were trying to misrepresent yourself as the first time, but the second time was as the distiller's daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Carpenter was the first time, I
The
think.
carpenter. Yes, right. The carpenter. That was it. Yes. Very good. Okay. So that happened. You then learned that the elves might be interested in selling some weapons and possibly amenable to further conflict. Um, and then the two of you, you and Qiaolian, got back in the palanquin and left the party. So before we start, let's take a look at your beliefs, instincts, and traits. So, what do you
Got
have for
it.
your beliefs?
So belief number one: a collapse of the peace treaty will disgrace my brother. I will sabotage the reparations payments to cause chaos, kind of her overarching goal.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the Marshal is fond of me. I will manipulate her to my advantage. And Longway is my beloved. I will work to restore his standing. That's my bodyguard.
Okay.
And deposed prince or noble.
Yes. We should see him this episode. Okay. So the thing that strikes me here is that you don't have any actionable beliefs except for the top one there, right? So the
Hmm.
top one, yes, you can get persona for that. However, that is going to be a big long-term project for you to do.
Right. That's the culmination of everything.
Yeah. So I think you're going to be kind of starved for persona if you continue with these beliefs. You may want to change one of them to something you can actually accomplish in the short term.
I'm thinking, if anything, I can manipulate the Marshal short
Mm-hmm.
term. I may want to change the last one, which still something true about the character, but also is a long term goal that doesn't quite coalesce with the first one.
Um, well, that's not necessarily a problem. It's okay for you to have conflicting beliefs. But the problem is, I would say, so the third one, I might keep it as is for the moment because
Mhm.
once we actually meet Longway, it'll be easier for you to understand what you can do
Okay.
to work to that end. Or if you want to try to manipulate Qiaolian to restore his standing, that could be a thing you could do, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
She has some standing in Xia society, so
Right.
um, that's a possibility. So yeah, so maybe we need to do some belief rewriting here, um,
Okay.
just to be or just to make sure you have an opportunity to get persona. Um,
What would you encourage to rewrite?
I guess either like I think maybe two or three, like two and three could be rewritten into one belief, right?
Hmm.
Like the
So
Marshal is
manipulate.
fond of me, I will manipulate her to restore the standing of my beloved, or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. And then that leaves open a new one. Okay. All right. So combined those. I'm trying to think of something more short term. Um, I think Nousha wants to. She doesn't necessarily want to build an alliance of merchants, since she is trying to sow chaos. But I think she is trying to plant those seeds within the merchant community in order to bring about that belief one, bring about that first goal more rapidly, but also in order to discredit her brother, which is also a part of that. So
Okay,
I
so
envision her like
you
using her job to shake down the people that she would already be shaking down and spinning that somehow.
right.
Uh,
Okay, so you have that instinct when doing work, always cover my tracks.
mhm.
Um, so
So maybe like the target of these merchants' ire should be my brother. I don't know
yeah,
exactly.
right. Okay,
That's
yes.
something that.
Yeah, so like the target of the merchant's ire should be my brother. I will deceive them into believing I am acting on his orders or something like that.
Yeah.
And it like yeah, we can maybe change this in the middle of the session if you have a specific target in mind. But
Sure.
for now, you might want to just write it down so that you know what you're shooting for.
Got it.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. Okay. So now, instincts. What do you got?
Instinct one: when doing work, always cover my tracks, uh, which is pretty core to her. Two: always remember slights against me, definitely
Mm-hmm.
holding grudges. And three: when pressed by an authority figure, always yield, which has been quite interesting so far.
Yes, it is a good instinct. All right. So, what about your traits? What do you have there?
I don't have them written on here. I gotta go
Yeah, you have
back to my
to
assessment
switch
skill
over.
sheet or to
It's the character burner.
character builder. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
At
she has
the
light sleeper.
Okay.
Uh, she has hard-hearted, and she has flatterer.
All right. Okay. Good to keep in mind. All right. Good. Okay. So I'm just gonna review uh, Qiaolian's beliefs here. so I know how to play her. Um, okay. Uh-huh. Right. Very good. And finally, her traits. Mark of privilege, your lordship, noblesse oblige, sharp dresser, grand cultured officious. All right. Oh yeah, those traits didn't include your cultural traits, right?
Oh, that's right. What did we have for
So you did. I
Aranea?
think you did write those on your sheet. Maybe it was just at the
Oh, yeah,
bottom
they're
of
at
the
the bottom
list.
there.
Yeah.
Cosmopolitan, misogynistic doesn't fully apply to her since she's kind of
It's still a trait though. Like
still a
if
trait.
you play against it, we can remove that at the trait vote. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah.
And entitled.
Yeah, and it can be like internalized misogyny, right? Like,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense.
So yeah, whether you want to play to that or not is totally up to you. It's just it's a thing
Something to
that
call
people
on.
would assume about you because of your
Right.
culture. Okay, cool. So yeah, so I think we get another shot of the embassy that we saw in the beginning, the Xia embassy. Uh, Once again, the Palanquin returns. The two of you step out. You're dressed as before, and she takes the lead back into the building. The guards sort of fan out to your sides and guard the gate. And you enter once again into her chambers, which I think we established were on the bottom floor
Mhm.
of the embassy. Very large, expansive room is sort of divided by screens here and there. There's a writing desk that she has for her calligraphy, and there's like you know, paintings on the walls, ink paintings on the walls, and various sort of like furniture and vases that you would expect from Xia. Um, if we're going with the Ming China analogy, then maybe they're
Yeah.
those white and blue porcelain vases.
Yeah.
I forget what the specific name for those is, but yes, the one that's the Ming Dynasty is famous for. Um, so I think she walks into the room and she says, "Well, Nousha, you were most valuable tonight. Come, sit. Let us celebrate."
And Nusha's amenable still. She'll sit.
So I think she has like a low table, small low table, and she's sitting on top of like one of those. Uh, I guess yeah, you've been to Japan, so you'd understand. There's like very squat chairs that you have for
Hmm.
like very low tables in Japan, like the little
Right.
tiny chairs. So she's
Barely functional.
yeah, like it's like you're above the ground, but not by much.
More decorative than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like mainly for people whose like knees act up if they're sitting in seiza
Hmm.
under the table. But she's
Oh
got
god,
one
I
of
don't know so
those.
many I can do that.
Um, she's got one of those. With some nice pillows on it, and she sits there. And there's the table in front of her, and she motions for you to sit at her side on the floor. Uh, and
And does Nusha know? I mean, is this particular to Xia culture, or is this something that she would be
I don't know. You tell
like
me.
picking up?
Like, I could totally see that being a shared custom in this culture. Like, maybe.
I would guess at this point she's probably seen or been to the Marshal's offices enough to maybe have seen other people
Mhm.
do so. I'm guessing this is kind of
Yeah, I
a
mean,
power
I don't
play
know
on
if this would happen in
Qiaolian's
like
part.
a business situation. This is much more of like
Hmm.
an intimate situation.
Would Nousha know that? I mean, so far she's
You
been
can roll
pretty.
Xiaowise to see
Yeah,
if
she's
you.
been pretty oblivious to some of this.
Yeah.
It might be worth rolling.
Okay. Let's see.
Let's see. Versus any modifiers here?
I will just say it's ob like. Ooh, I wonder like if she's been through this before. Do you think? Is
Yeah,
this a
right.
new thing or?
I think probably not. I think mostly the Marshal's been holding this as a business, maybe slightly above business relationship, like
Okay.
a trusted advisor.
Okay, so yeah, why don't you take ob 2 on that?
Okay. Did that roll?
It might just take a moment.
Let me try that again. To submit. There we go. Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's not bad. You got here we go. Oh, you didn't get any sixes, but you could spend 2 fate to re-roll one of those traders.
I think she'll let this one slide.
Okay.
Nothing feels too untoward at this point, and she's already. I think she knows the Marshal's designs, but maybe just doesn't know
All right.
how to approach this one.
Yeah. So just mark a routine test for
Okay.
Xiaowise. Yes, so it's one of the ones that does advance if you fail. So cool. Yeah. So she motions for you to sit. And I think she on the table has. What does she have? What does she have? Oops.
She maybe have a liquor of some sort. I'm imagining she's probably used to lording over what she can get that would be
Right.
harder to obtain.
Yeah, I think that she has. Yeah, I think she has some paper spread out with like an ink block and a brush.
Mhm.
And she turns to you and she says, "Oh, please go get some plum wine for us."
Okay.
And
Uh, She'll bow and do so.
so yeah, so you come back with the plum wine. You sit beside her, and there's like a tray, I guess, with some cups, and it has the flask of or the decanter of plum wine on it, and she like gestures for you to serve the wine out into cups.
Nusha's gonna pour the wine. She'll probably try to attempt to pour a little less for herself.
Okay, sure. I'm not going to get her to make a perception check on
Yeah.
that. That's good. Yeah, I mean, again, if you want, this could be an opportunity to test inconspicuous.
Hmm.
If you,
I'll let it roll.
okay, sure. Um,
Even if she sees that, I think that might tell her something.
oh yeah, yeah. So, in which case, I feel like she should probably make a perception check. Oh man. Okay, this game. All
Yeah, I mean, I
right.
can roll an inconspicuous. Is that
Yeah.
what's the base for that?
Let's see. I feel like it's like an ob 1 probably, but we should check the
Will.
skill description.
Got it. Actually, yeah, she might as well roll it because that's something that would be worth advancing.
Yeah, I mean that's why I give you the opportunity. Is like, why not, right? Um, okay, 278. Inconspicuous. Inconspicuous is tested in versus tests against observation. Okay. Inconspicuous tests are penalized under the following conditions: garish or inappropriate dress. This is the ability to go unnoticed in a crowd. So actually, you know what this would be?
So
This
that
would
really
be
fit, yeah.
this would be sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand, yeah.
Yeah. Sleight of hand. Yeah, that's right. So.
EI or IE?
It is to pick a pocket or perform a similar trick of legerdemain on a victim. Make a versus test. Sleight of hand versus observation. Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
I believe that Qiaolian does not. It's 297.
There we go. Got it.
And Qiaolian does not have observation, so she'll be
untrained.
making an unskilled test with perception.
Anything?
Well, it's going to be how many successes she gets, because this is a versus test.
Oh, okay. So you roll. Should you roll first and then?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. So observation.
I don't know as far as putting in
is being learned, and perception is the skill, as far as I know. So yeah, I think that's all that she needs to do. She's gonna roll this. No modifiers. Artha. Base obstacles 1. We'll just leave it as that for the moment. Additional complications.
So
she got 2 successes. So you're ob 2.
Yeah, no, not so good.
You got
2, I guess, because she's. Yeah, does it matter that she's also untrained? Or?
So that's an interesting point. But I think. No, it is. So it's versus the opponent or the victim's. Yeah, versus the victim's observation. So yes, it would be ob 4 for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get to mark that routine test, but she sees you do it, and she looks at you and she smiles and says, "Please, Nousha, there's no need to skimp on the drinks."
It's just such fine wine. I didn't want to insult you.
She says, of course. But nevertheless, drink up. It is very good. We had it brought all the way from Xia.
And she'll take a sip of it just to appease her, but set the cup down.
Okay. So she says, so, Nousha, what did you end up doing at the ball?
I did my best to keep abreast of the current political climate.
And what did you learn?
Nothing much. It turns out, unsurprisingly, that people are unwilling to talk to a woman of any sort of station at an event like that.
All right, so make a falsehood test. This is definitely a falsehood test. Versus opponent's will, if I remember correctly. So
see, I think I've got forts for this. I'm gonna go check.
Yeah.
Not falconry. Falsehood forks into persuasion. Oh right, which I don't have, so never mind. Yep. So standard base ob
is 6. She has a will of 6.
Ugh. I think I've had only one successful roll this whole time.
You're playing Burning Wheel. Mark a challenging falsehood test.
Got it.
Yes, you didn't have any forks for that, is what you're saying.
Okay. Persuasion forks into it.
And she says, Nousha, please. I know, of course, that the grandees of the city would not speak to one of your social standing, but you were my guest. Furthermore, you do have a way of misrepresenting yourself.
She'll kind of grin.
So tell me, what did you really learn?
Fair enough, Marshall. I had a fine time talking to the elves, strange creatures that they are, and realized that they may be a bit more useful than I would have thought.
Oh, oh, really? How so?
They they appear to be involved in more than just the jewelry industry, uh, but seem to be willing to sell their weapons
Hmm.
should the conflict or need arise.
Well, that is interesting. Perhaps I will have a talk with them.
They seemed impressed by your display tonight.
Yes, I noticed that. It was very satisfying. And she basically raises her cup for a toast to say, all very much thanks to you. Um,
Nusha will kind of grin at that, but shake her head, and I think she's gonna try to assert a little bit of dominance or play
mm-hmm,
to her favor here,
mm-hmm.
and say, "I understand what you were aiming for, Marshal, and all due respect, um, if we are, or if you need my assistance, if we are to be partners in this, please don't take advantage of my naivete again."
Oh, oh boy, that's gonna be something. Okay. Yeah. Well.
I think she wants to turn it in terms of like us gals got to stick together.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but you made an interesting choice of words there.
Sure.
So she puts her cup down and she says, "Nusha, this is not a partnership. I am a marshal of the Great Shah, and you are working in my employ. You would not be in this situation at all if it were not for my decision to employ you."
I think she'll come back with, "Do you treat all of your employees to plum wine?"
And she says, "Only the ones I like."
Uh, Marshall, I like you. I appreciate what you're doing for me, but I believe I'm capable of more than you're using me for.
And she says, "Well, I certainly plan to put you to work in many ways. Um, and I think. Okay, so we could go two ways with this. We could go to a duel of wits, or she could make a seduction test on you. If you're feeling like you would oppose that. I
If
feel like Nusha is opposing that, right?
Yeah, she certainly she knows she's gleaned the Marshall's designs here, but she's
Mm-hmm.
trying to play her for as long as she can.
Yep.
If it were a duel of wits,
Mm-hmm.
is that looking at something along the lines of getting to
It would be
uh,
along the lines of what Nusha's specific duties are for the marshal, right?
Right.
Like I
Kind
feel
of
like
moving
that
up
would
in
be
her graces.
the substantial matter that would be argued over. Um, uh,
Does a Duel of Wits fit this?
yeah, I mean, it is just a matter of whether you want to go to one on this issue, right? So, like, if you feel strongly enough about the matter, then we can go to Duel of Wits. If you don't feel as strongly about it, we can resolve it with a seduction test. So that's all I'm saying here.
So uh, so I don't know how disadvantaged she would be in a Duel of Wits,
She would
or if she would
be
know
at a
that. But
considerable disadvantage in a Duel of
right,
Wits, but you could extract a compromise, right?
right.
That's probably what you'd be aiming to do because, yeah, Nousha has some. I don't know exactly what the matchup would look like, but it would definitely be to your disadvantage.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it may be worth it to do so for Nusha, even just to kind of show that she's more than a piece of meat
Yep. Okay.
and is willing to talk around her.
Okay. Let's go to Duel of Wits.
Let's give it a shot. So, do I need to? Okay, you're flipping over to the thing. Good.
All right. So I will explain what we're doing here. The first thing we need to do in a Duel of Wits is work out our statement of purpose. And just looking for where is that in the book? Duel of Wits. It's right back here. Yeah, okay. So page 390. The statement of purpose. To begin a duel of wits, there must be two sides willing to defend their disparate positions. Each side clearly and succinctly states its case. This is called the statement of purpose. You should arrive at this juncture after role-playing and getting a feel for the situation. If you don't know what you want from a duel of wits, don't start one. Keep role-playing until you want something. Once you do, state your case. So, each player briefly describes his point and why he's right. State your cases in an orderly fashion. Once you state your case, write it out. So, for example, the clan has always done right by itself. There is no need to become embroiled in the internecine politics of outsiders versus unless all stand together, all will fall. This is not a problem for one province or one clan, but all of the disparate crowns of the land. So, yes.
So, does each party need to state?
Okay, so yes, both of us need to state what this is about.
I suppose yours would be in relation to what.
Yeah, so
Right?
if I was to state Qiaolian's position, it would be something to the effect of, she would say, I have chosen to give you my favor, and you should fulfill all of your duties with happiness and the minimum of resistance. So I think her point is
Know your place.
Nousha is beneath my station. She should follow my wishes, however I see fit.
Okay. I think Nusha's looking for. In some ways, I think she's looking to cut Qiaolian in on her scheme, but only with limited information. And I think what she's looking for out of it is more of a sense of autonomy and hoping that Qiaolian will support what she's doing, whether she knows the full story or not.
Okay. Okay, but we need to work out what this is. So that would be the subtext, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what is the text of what you are arguing, right?
Right. Something along the lines of, an unused tool becomes dull. you know I'm capable. Uh,
And that, I
so
feel like that is not a matter of debate, right? Like
right,
you would both agree to that, right?
right. She
Like
was
she would
so,
say like, yeah, no, of course I'm going to go send you to do jobs and stuff like that.
but the
That
part
is,
she's resistant to is that Nousha can call any of those jobs. That Nousha can call shots.
yeah. Well, she's not even necessarily resistant to the idea that Nusha might do some things on her own. She's resistant to the idea that Nusha would not do whatever she says when asked, right?
Hmm.
Like I feel like this is a matter of you
So
know,
maybe
if she wants you in her bed, then you should be in her bed. If she wants you out on the street collecting money, you should be out on the street collecting money. You should
so
do
maybe
what
she
she
can
says, right?
play to. So wait, let me take a look at the Marshal here for a second. She's got one on there. Let's see. Or she had one about something about like the backwater nature of this misogynist culture,
Mm-hmm.
um, in kind of playing to, are you then any better than those we both despise?
Okay.
Uh,
So, um, so your case in the argument would be, um,
if you trust my abilities, uh, lengthen the leash, as essentially.
okay, yeah, yeah. Um, okay, that's fair. Yeah. So write out your statement of purpose.
Okay. If you trust my, oh, do I write that on here? Cool.
Yes, yeah, on here, so we can both see it.
I'm not really sure how to navigate this. Sorry.
There's the little like I button on the left, and then there's text under there. Or I can write it out actually. That's fine.
Yeah, do you mind? I'm gonna put it on my
Okay. So
here.
what's your
I'm just
statement of
navigating.
purpose here?
So, uh, if you trust my abilities, uh, lengthen the leash. I mean, is I guess the best way I can think to put it. But
Okay.
I don't know
She
if that.
should lengthen the leash. Like basically, she should forgive. She should forgive insolence, right? Like,
Right.
um,
That we may not be equals here, but we are at the very least. That I'm at the very least more than a simple employee.
okay. Right. Okay. So, uh, if the marshal values my abilities, she should uh, treat me as a person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds fair.
Because I think Nusha knows that along the lines of the Marshal's statement that what is it exactly? Where do I find the? There we go. Along the ways Nusha's proven both cunning and lovable. I will use her as befits her character, kind of encouraging her to truly recognize that character.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. All right. That's fair. Now we agree to the terms. So this is what you will get if you win. And here you are encouraged to make the strongest claim that you can think of because you will probably compromise. So
Right.
basically, like this is like a bargaining process, and you want to shoot high, right, to
Right.
begin with, and then
I
you'll
think
get
that
somewhere in the middle with your
so
compromise.
something like the Marshal will provide financial support for. How much did we just discuss? Like how much of Nusha's scheme the Marshal's aware of? I imagine some.
Yeah,
Or
like
is there
I
like
think
talking?
both of you are trying to sabotage the peace treaty, right? So
Right. So
I think
she
that
probably
both,
doesn't know about Long Way, but she knows about
right.
trying to not to overthrow my brother.
Yeah, or at least that's what you think, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the Marshal will I think she's looking for more than just financial support,
Mm-hmm.
but probably resources as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the Marshal will provide me financial and resource support to kind of back up my claims to
Okay.
to
That's
intimidate and sow chaos.
yeah. Okay, so she'll give you resources. Are you also interested in whether or not she continues like sexual harassment against you? Like,
Uh,
is that also part of this question, or is it just a
I
matter of you want to
I
be
think,
better resourced?
and maybe not overtly, but maybe I guess what Nousha would probably tell her is to wait, right? She's trying to play her for as long as she can and keep that back pocket card, but she does
Okay.
not want to be involved with
Yeah,
the
so
Marshal.
if you win this debate, what do you want in that regard? Because like
Uh,
we're not going to have this debate again, is what I'm saying,
right.
right? Like you might want to really think about what it is that she wants.
She'll treat me as a person rather than her quote unquote little sister in the Shaw
Right.
sense. That I'm not a
So
prostitute.
okay, yeah, that's a good point. So okay, so it'd be like, um, the Marshal. So if Nousha wins, the Marshal will provide her with resources and no longer treat her as a prostitute.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Good.
That she is buying my services as a debt collector, not
Mm-hmm. Not
as a,
with
a
like
government,
without limit.
as a professional, right?
Yeah. Right. Okay. Um. And her goal here, if the Marshal wins, Qiaolian will follow her orders pliantly and
Excuse me.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that's really what she wants. That's pretty much it. She just wants
Right.
you to be pliant, yielding. Like, yeah, she'll be yielding and pliant. Wins shall or sorry, Nousha will yeah, follow her orders pliantly. I think that's like an action that we could actually look for.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because I don't want to like. Generally speaking, the goal should not be about your motivations or internal thoughts, right?
Right,
Like
because that's not going to change.
yeah, these are like things you can do. Okay, so the next thing we do, also, now that we've stated this, it is always possible for you to walk away from the duel. So that is always an option you have as a player, is to
Is that at any point during the duel?
no, it's only at this
Only
point.
at the beginning,
You can walk away, and the consequences will follow as they do, but you are never forced into a duel. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing we're gonna do is our body of argument. Rather than shed blood and break bones, we undermine points and damage egos in the Duel of Wits. The body of argument represents the strength of your position at the start of the debate. Once the cases have been made clear, each player tests his skill. Add any successes from the skill test to the character's will exponent. This total is the body of argument for this duel. Note this total. So, The number of successes from your skill test plus your will exponent is your body of argument. So the relevant skills that you can roll are coarse persuasion, interrogation, oratory, persuasion, poisonous platitudes, rhetoric, or stentorious debate. So do you have any of those skills? I think you have interrogation,
no.
don't you?
Let's see. Yes, I do. I have interrogation. And I have soothing platitudes, not poisonous.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Yeah. So yeah, you're probably gonna be rolling with interrogation then.
Okay.
I looked over this, and it seems like this body of argument test is one that doesn't really have to fit into the fiction exactly.
This is just setting the HP
I
value,
think this
basically.
is just to set your body of argument. So I'm gonna roll. Oh boy. Okay, what's she gonna roll? She's gonna roll.
She has oratory in it, remember?
Yeah, I feel like that is the least appropriate skill in this situation because there's just the two of you. But if I have to go there, I will.
So you pick one of them.
Yeah.
To.
Yeah, you pick one, roll it, and then add it to your will exponent.
Straight will exponent?
Yes, just the value. You don't have to roll that. She will probably...
Excuse me.
I'm not going to be... Yeah, I mean... Okay, I'm going to roll her persuasion because I just feel like oratory isn't appropriate in this situation. And also, it's just mean to get her to roll G5 skill against you.
She's got that in a gray shade, good God.
Okay, so this is going to be persuasion. This is B4 skill for her. All right, let's see how this goes.
So I need to roll interrogation.
Yep. Oh,
ooh.
Boy, that's bad for her.
Do I apply any modifiers or anything to this?
No, just roll it.
And base ob 1?
1, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay,
you got 1. So her body of argument is 7, and yours is...
what's my...
Or sorry, no, her body of argument is 6, and yours is...
Also 6.
Okay, alright. I'm gonna write that down. Okay, so 6 and also 6. Make these larger. Oops.
I think that's the first positive roll I've had in 2 sessions.
No, I think you did succeed at something else. It wasn't all failures last session. But you definitely had a lot.
I think it's as a result of Artha, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, and I didn't in this one, nor would I necessarily. But can you use Artha for building a body of argument?
No, you cannot. As far as I understand, you cannot. Well,
I guess it doesn't say otherwise.
It doesn't say otherwise, does it?
So you could use it to.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll get her. Let's see if she can spend some will to reroll here to improve. No, she didn't get any 6s. She can spend 2 points to try to reroll 1 die. So let's just see how that goes. Okay, she got a success, so she's up to 7.
And can you use Artha throughout the rest of a Duel of Wits at all?
Yes, you can. Yeah, totally. I'm just gonna go over and delete that fate point for her. Okay. Or sorry, 2 fate points she needs to delete. That's what she did the thing. All right. Okay. All right. So we have our body of argument dealt out. Next, you want to check to see if you have any traits that affect a Duel of Wits. There are some call-on traits and die traits that will help you. I don't know if you have any of those, but I'm going to check hers.
Light sleeper, hard-hearted, and flatterer. Flatterer may.
Flatterer or hard-hearted could either one of those might have an effect. I'm not
and
sure.
As a call-on, what does that do?
Exactly? Call-on trait. If I'm a call-on trait allows you to re-roll a roll entirely in the appropriate situation.
Do you need to spend Arthur for that at all? Or?
No, it's once per session.
Okay.
It's very, very strong. So she has... I can't imagine any of these are relevant. I don't think any of these are relevant. Yeah. Yeah, that's just a character trait. So no, I don't think she has anything. She didn't get very many trade points.
Why was that in her burning?
It's because she just has four life paths. She's very young. She's only 28. Oh, and then she had a lot of required ones. That was what it was.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I've only got the 3 life paths.
Because she had to buy your lordship in order to be able to go student into
right,
lord.
So the
because
ones are in the nobility a lot.
Yeah, it's if she went from born noble squire to knight to lord, that wouldn't be a problem. But if you want to take student in the noble life path and you want to advance to lord from student, you have to have your lordship. So you have to spend a point on that. But anyway, so are either of your traits relevant there?
Flatterer and hard-hearted are both. They don't have anything listed on their traits. I don't know if that means.
Okay, that means they're not. Yeah, it's listed.
It would specifically say.
Yeah, it specifically
Actually,
says.
let me double check hard-hearted. I didn't check that one. Let's see. Actually, so this one does. It's a die trait. They always have excuses, and this character has heard them all. He may add 4 successes to any body of argument in a Duel of Wits, where his opponent is trying to weasel out of an obligation. Okay.
So this is the opposite, though, right? You are trying to weasel out of an obligation. So this isn't relevant to this Duel of Wits, but it probably will be relevant in future ones.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the duel. In a Duel of Wits, players plan their strategies a few moves in advance. They build a hand of actions in order to outwit and overpower their opponent's feeble arguments. So we have an exchange, which consists of 3 volleys. So what you want to do is you should be able to see at the bottom right of the screen, there's a little button that says shuffle on it.
Choose or draw. Oh.
If you go to choose. Choose,
okay.
Yeah. And then you're going to basically deal them out 1 per volley, and they will go face down. And then for each volley, we will reveal the cards. So plan them out in advance.
Okay. So, roughly speaking, I don't know what opposes what necessarily.
Roughly speaking, oh boy, like... So I did.
The avoid, obfuscate, rebuttal are all defensive. Point and dismiss are attack.
I did add this Duel of Wits handout. You can check it here.
It's really blurry. I'm having trouble reading it.
Oh, it should resolve. Just give it a second. Like if you click on it, it will go to the full.
I just had to make my window bigger. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So. Lord have mercy.
So as I said again, if you are at a skill disadvantage, the easiest thing to do is point, but you may want to think about your role playing here.
Mm-hmm. Point does use interrogation, so I can roll that. Okay. So generally speaking, when engaging in one of these, is there like a preferred order? My background in debate is parliamentary style, which is pretty set in stone.
Right. Yeah. No, there's nothing like that. It's way more
Okay.
freeform. There are certain things that make sense to do later in the Duel of Wits, in terms of the strategy, but there's no prescribed order you have to use.
Okay.
Because like some things can be a setup for something else, right?
Right. Avoid the topic as written was kind of confusing to me. So that in not requiring a roll, just baseline.
You do have to make a roll. You make a will test.
Straight will.
Yeah,
Okay.
straight will test. So
that subtracts from.
It subtracts from your opponent's point, obfuscate, or incite successes, or reduces the effectiveness of an opposed action. So, for example, avoid versus avoid, no roll necessary. Dismiss bypasses avoid. Avoid beats feint. Neither body of argument is affected. Like, you can go through all of these, right? Read from the left to see what they do.
Oh, okay. I was reading this wrong. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think she's gonna start.
Oh, so you can only use one per exchange, or one once per exchange?
No.
Because I just put one on there and it disappeared from the available cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's odd. That's maybe just a roll 20 thing.
Doesn't give me the option to put it.
You can duplicate that card though.
How do I do that? What the hell did I just do?
Did you just delete it?
I don't know, but now I can only click on it and say bottom, left, or right.
Weird.
Yikes. Okay, so I think I may have to draw multiple cards. Draw one and two.
You don't want to draw. You want to choose, right?
Yeah, it disappeared. Try on yours and see if it is any different, but I can't.
So
I can't take it back to.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's disappeared from the available cards.
I think you can just delete it.
I'm not getting that option. You may have to.
And then we can. Here, I'll just shuffle the deck again.
Still not there.
Okay. Hang on. Recall. Recall. And
still missing.
Point is gone.
Do we have the same shared one? Are you seeing what I'm seeing on yours?
Here, hang on. Yes, I think so. So what I'm gonna do is go over to my.
Oh, points back. Okay.
Just make sure point is back. Okay, it's back now.
Yes. Let me see. I'm gonna try and drag another one and see if it does the same thing. This isn't what I'm trying to use. I'm just testing. Yes, it disappeared again. And
it disappeared.
Not. It's the one that I just dragged on there is out of the available cards.
Oh yeah. Okay, but now you should be able to left click on it and then go copy and paste it over, right?
Nothing comes up from left clicking. It's just.
Oh shit. Okay. Like if you right click on it?
Yeah, it just has take card or flip card.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Let me take a look at the deck here. I may be able
Yeah.
to make some changes. So players can draw cards. Cards in deck are infinite.
That may be what we want to.
Allow choosing specific cards from the deck. Okay. Show fronts. There's choose show fronts. Others' hands. Players see a number of cards. Played face down. Okay. Maybe this will help. So if I draw a point, it disappears.
It's still in there, yeah. Oh, it disappeared from yours? It still looks like it's in mine.
Oh, but okay.
Oh, are you in the other deck here?
Oh no, it's back now.
So I pulled out Swoon. Okay, so it is back.
Okay. Yeah. I think we can do this now.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna delete the ones that are on there.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
Will you delete the one that's up on?
Oh yeah, sure.
There?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna volley one. Let me see here. Where did I put the shorthand? Duel Wits. There we go.
Okay, so I think
Pull
she's.
this out to another two. Oh. Sorry, this hand app is taking a while to resolve.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean,
Christ, that on mine too.
this is
Oh god, what have I done? Okay, got it. Chrome is being kind of an ass here. There we go.
Okay, so she's gonna. I think.
When it says test dueling skill, what does it mean?
Tests dueling skill. Is this on the?
Oh, I see. It's below there. So the dueling skills are oratory, rhetoric, persuasion, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And finally. Okay.
Can you remove the middle one up there for me? The one I had on volley 2.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm still reading up on some of these. I want to make sure I'm choosing the right one. That does fit, actually. All right. Fairly standard, I think.
There's an extra card out here. I'm just going to delete that.
Yeah, I don't know if I put that down there or not.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So the way this works now is uh, so I will call the volley, and there's an order for how it's resolved. So points and dismisses are spoken before a rebuttal. Maneuvers like feint and obfuscate are used to literally interrupt the opponent's flow. If two players are simultaneously throwing points, dismissals, or incitements at each other, either let traits decide who speaks first or allow the elder character to proceed. The order doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's go volley one. First volley. Flip your card.
All right. Hang on, sorry. Trying to resize things in my window here. Flip. There we go.
Okay, so point versus insight. And okay, so why don't you make your point first?
Sure. So I think the point would be along the lines of you and I both feel similarly about the position of the Iranian Republic, and especially as regards to its position on women, or its fear thereof. So we, being of like mind, need to approach one another respectfully.
Okay, and Qiaolian is going to she is listening to what you have to say, but she kind of is also not listening, and she gets down off of her stool and kneels beside you and puts a hand on your thigh and another hand on your shoulder, and she says, Nousha, those clothes really do become you. So here we go. Resolution. So you are going to roll for yours to make your point. I believe.
So point versus insight. Insight and point are both tested independently.
Yeah, these are tested independently,
Okay.
And your point, you're rolling with which skill? This sounds like rhetoric to me.
Right, which would be untrained.
Yeah. Could also be persuasion.
Which is also untrained. But,
yeah, but one of the two, right?
Yeah, I think trying to advance persuasion. Rhetoric, I think, fits less so. I think she is trying to appeal to Qiaolian's leanings.
Okay. Yep.
So
let's go.
So roll that. Any modifier?
Are there any? No, I don't think so.
Persuasion is forks. Can I fork in this?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
But no, you can't because it's untrained.
Untrained, right? You can't fork from. Okay. Base ob.
The obstacle. I don't think. No, it's just how many successes you get.
It's just successes. Okay.
Yeah, per points, so it doesn't matter.
No complications.
Or wait, it's. Oh no, it would be the way that persuasion works. So it's against the opponent's will.
Okay. Yeah. Which would.
It's just how many successes. Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay. So 2 successes.
Oh. In a versus test, subtract the margin of success from your opponent's body of argument. In a standard test, subtract your point successes. So yes, this is not a versus test because it's against will. So yes, it would just be your number of successes.
Okay, yeah. So 2.
Okay, so you get 2. So her body of argument goes down to 5. Now she's going to try to incite you with seduction. And the standard obstacle on incite is the victim's will exponent. So your will exponent is what, 4?
5.
5.
Should I roll
okay.
will?
No, it's just your exponent.
Just straight to it.
Yeah, that's the obstacle. So she's rolling seduction. She has a 3 in that. She will fork. Rhetoric. And persuasion. And foreign languages. She's talking to you in your own language. For once. So that's 3 forks. And I think she gets an extra die for well-dressed. So it's 4. Okay, so she's rolling against Ob 5, and her seduction is 3. Okay. Alright, so this is a skill she has, actually. Seduction. B3. She's gonna roll that. And her modifier, she gets 1 for that. Artha, she will spend a persona on this. The base obstacle is 5. And then is there a thing? Oh, I need to redo that. Bugger. Okay, it's... Okay, here we go. So modifiers is 1 for well-dressed. Then the forks were foreign languages, rhetoric, and persuasion. So it's 4. Yeah, 4 total. Yeah. Okay, so submit. Artha is she's spending 1, and her base obstacle is 5.
When you place in on this for the macro, when you place in 1 for Artha, it doesn't just add a die, right? It takes into account that that's possibly a... Or did she...
what do you mean? It does add a die.
Which type of Artha? Oh, she spent persona.
She spent persona on it.
But if you were using... what is the smaller one? Fate, if you don't put in Artha?
Yeah, you don't put in Artha until afterwards, yeah. Okay, so she has only 1 6. And does the margin of failure matter? Oh, the margin of failure is added as advantage dice to the opponent's next test. So she will actually... she is going to spend 3 fate. So she'll first reroll a traitor. Okay, so that becomes a success, but it's not a 6. So that puts her up to 3 successes versus Ob 5. And then she's also going to reroll this 6. Oops.
On failed rolls in this, do you mark advancements?
Yes.
Within a Duel of Wits?
Yes. Okay. So she went up to 4 versus Ob 5, so it means you get 1 bonus die on your next action. And
I get 1 bonus die? Okay.
Yeah, and she failed at her seduction. Okay, so she had to spend 1 Artha and 1 persona and 3 fate, so I'm just going to mark that down. So all her fate is gone. And she's down to 1 persona. Okay. Cool.
All right, so flip next.
So, yeah, volley 2.
All right. Flip. There we go.
All right. So it's point versus obfuscate. So point goes first, and I believe you have to cut in with your obfuscation. Yes. Right. Okay, so she sees that, you're not yielding to her tender embrace. And she says, Nousha, look, you are capable, but I can always find another capable individual to do my work here. You should be grateful for what I've given you. And how are you going to obfuscate?
So when obfuscating, I can pick between. Let's see. So I think, and I don't know if this would still be an obfuscation, but would it count as a use of soothing platitudes to kind of flirt her way out of this one?
Um,
To say, sure, you could pick someone else, but could you pick someone who's
yeah. That totally sounds right to
right? Could
me.
you pick someone whose wit, ability, and most importantly, um, looks, you feel the same about?
Um, right. Okay. So it's supposed to be a non sequitur or bizarre unrelated point. So like that sounds a little bit more like a rebuttal to me.
Hmm.
The obfuscation might just be like, you know, sure, you could find someone else, but uh, you know, then just like go on about how hot you are or something like that.
Right.
Like,
Sure. Sure, you could find someone else, but uh, one so pliant, willing, and who looks just as good in a lacquered hairpiece.
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
just kind of pointing at the dress she's wearing,
right.
tilting what she was using last time of trying to, you know, seduce me
Uh
in
huh.
my favor.
Yeah, totally. Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to test first because I made my point. So I'm making a point with. I feel like point. So it could be coarse persuasion, interrogation, oratory, persuasion, poisonous platitudes, rhetoric, or stentorious debate. This sounds like persuasion to me. So I'm going to make a persuasion test with her. Make that persuasion test. And she's not going to spend Artha on this. So here we go. Oops.
There's a section here for it's talking about baiting the beliefs of your opponent, but it doesn't have any mechanical effect, does it? It's just
No.
kind of encouraging you to.
Oh, it hurts. Oh, one success. And she's got no fate left. Oh man. Okay, so your
She's
volume
too
of
drunk.
argument is also down to 5. Um. Okay, and your obfuscate.
Would be using. I have soothing platitudes and falsehood. I think this falls more under soothing
This is
platitudes,
soothing
though.
platitudes. Yeah.
Yeah. So rolling, no modifiers,
Yeah.
or can she fork? Sorry, I already asked that.
Yes, you can fork. You can
Let
fork.
me find that real quick. I'm in traits right now, not skills.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So this is going to come before the point, mechanically speaking. So
it's
you
not
may
reducing
be able to
okay.
negate.
Okay. Oh well, yeah. I've also got the bonus die. I need to remember.
Yeah, you have a bonus die,
Here we go.
and
Okay. Falsehood does fork into that. So let's see. I am rolling soothing platitudes modifier 2, 1 for the fork, 1 for the bonus die. Is that correct?
yes, and this I just want to check what the resolution is here, because this is Duel of Wits. It is obfuscate versus point. Test obfuscate first. If successful, it blocks the point. If unsuccessful, test point is normal. So you test.
Well, she didn't make a point. Oh, yes, she did. I'm sorry.
This is about. So you're making a soothing platitudes test, and you need to succeed at the test in order to make your obfuscate. So.
Okay. What's my obstacle here then?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
Okay. So soothing. Soothing platitudes. A basic obstacle for soothing platitudes is the victim's will. So, yes, it is 6, ob 6.
Okay.
Ob 6 test, and you have +1 from the last thing.
Right, so I factored that in as 2 with the fork.
Yep.
Not great. 1 is a 6. I could spin an Arthur right to open in that.
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely going to do that.
Remember, this is just pass-fail. Margin of failure does not matter on this test.
I say roll 1d6.
Yep. Okay, so that's a miss. So you failed the test, so she does make her point, and you lose 1 to your body argument. Oops. Shit. So she's down. You're down to 5 as well. Oops. Okay, 5. All right. Next, volley. So volley 3. All right, point versus dismiss. So we'll check the resolution table here. Point versus dismiss. Dismiss and point are tested as usual with the full effects. Okay. So you're gonna make a point, and I, as a dismissing, this maneuver is used for the cataclysmic and undeniable conclusion of an argument. Loudly declare that your opponent knows nothing about the topic at hand, and furthermore, he's a fool and a dullard and shouldn't be listened to any further. So your last point was, like, oh, but I'm so desirable, right?
Right.
Okay. I think so why don't you make your point first, and then I'll go for the dismiss.
So I think I'm trying to figure out exactly how interrogation works as making a point, because it's one of the stated.
It would be, making, like, asking a very forceful question, right? Mm-hmm. But not an ugly truth, right? It's like,
right.
Like, tell me where the bomb is.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can pull that off.
Yeah, it's always like you can choose these things, but they have to make sense in the fiction, right?
Right. I think kind of, and I don't know what skill would fit this best, but I think the point that I'm looking for possibly is something along the lines of, you're honestly kind of blessed to have somebody with an in like mine. Why not use it?
Okay. So it sounds like ugly truth to me.
Okay. I don't have that. That's a skill, not a trait?
It is a skill, yeah.
Okay, so I can add it to here. Ugly truth is which exponent?
It is
Will, I would guess.
will, I think,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Ugly. There we go. Perception, actually.
Oh, perception. Okay, that makes sense
Okay.
actually. Yeah. Okay, so make your you can open ugly truth.
Okay. Let's see. Any forks here? Falsehood and intimidation. I can use both of those.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Totally.
No
Although
Artha.
this is not a falsehood, right? Because you're telling me this is the truth.
That's true.
Well, unless you think
How,
that's not actually true, right? Like, well, but
I
then
think. Well,
in that case, it would be
falsehood maybe in the sense that she probably could
okay. Yeah, in
get
that
somebody
case,
else
then
with an
yes. In that case, then yes, totally.
in. Okay. So 2.
And it's against her will. Is that right?
Posed by. Uh,
Or it's because this is point. It's the number of
doesn't say
successes.
skill.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So do I need to put anything in for Ob? Just one.
No, I guess not.
This is strange how it interacts with untrained skills.
Yeah,
There
this is
isn't
like
really a
I'm.
disadvantage.
Let me look at this again. So point. So in a versus test, subtract the margin of success from your opponent's body of argument. This is not a versus test. In a standard test, subtract your point successes from your opponent's body of argument. So yeah, so you just kind of, I guess it's just there to give you a better chance at getting some successes if you're making a
Yeah.
point. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you're
Okay.
rolling unskilled, but the obstacle is irrelevant.
No additional complications.
Okay, 3 successes. All right.
Okay.
Um,
Is Artha-able? Yes, they are. So if I spend one Artha, does it re-roll,
all of the
or does it explode
sixes.
both those sixes?
Yeah. So
Okay,
two
go
d
ahead and
six
do
you would
that.
roll.
So spend one fate point. Need to add a. Let's see. Okay. So roll 2d6.
Okay, so neither of those are sixes, but
Okay.
you do get 5 successes. So that is enough to take her out of the argument.
Oh wow. Okay.
However, she also gets to make her dismiss.
So dismissal, it is like the last gasp, right? You get a penalty for failing one
Um,
if it comes to that.
it's
It's the big guns, basically.
yes. If a character fails to win the duel via his dismiss action, he must hesitate for his next volley. Either cross off the next action or skip the first volley of the coming exchange. So if there was another exchange, the first one, the first round
She's
or the
on the
first
back
volley,
foot, hesitates.
she would have to hesitate.
Okay.
Okay, so dismiss. I think she's probably going to be. So what am I testing here? So you get plus 2d to your character skill. And in a standard test, you Subtract each success rolled from your opponent's body of argument. Okay. All right. So plus 2d. It's basically like point, but with plus 2d. Okay. So she is going to go with... So your point here was that you're connected. Okay, I see. I think, okay, so this is how she's going to escalate this. She will raise her voice and stand up, and she's going to say, you think you are so well connected here. Well, Nousha, I can say that everyone in this building and all of my ancestors present think very little of your connections indeed. Who do you really know? I know a great many nobles. I know the premier. He had barely just met you. Do not presume to speak to me of connections. And she's going to make an oratory test. Because she's speaking to the entire building about this. Okay, so she gets plus 2d. So she's rolling oratory. Here we go. Oratory. She will spend a persona on this. So that's, and for forks, she'll fork, oh boy, she's gonna have so many dice. Okay, it's, rhetoric, I think, etiquette, because this is like, you know, you've just made a big faux pas by saying this to me. And I think that's probably it, those two forks. I don't think this is persuasion at all, or bureaucracy, no, or foreign languages. I think she's definitely speaking to you in Xia at this point. So yeah, so those are the two forks she's gonna get. Plus 2 for doing insight. Okay. Alright, then she'll spend an Artha. Okay, so that's, okay. So here we go, oratory. So that's 4 modifier. Artha is 1. And the base obstacle, it doesn't matter. Yes!
Yowza.
Yes! Knocked you out in one go. Alright. Cool. It's a good thing, too, because you didn't have any fate points left. Alright. So, we both are reduced to 0 in this round.
What happens there? Is that considered a tie, or?
It is a tie. So what happens now is tying. If both arguments are reduced to 0 in the same volley, the duel is a tie. Neither party is in a position to leverage a victory. 2 options are available. The characters can part ways and agree to take up the argument at another time, or they can agree to a compromise. Tied compromise. The first rule of a compromise resulting from a tie is that neither party can achieve the terms he sought at the outset of the duel. Both parties must agree to a point that sits squarely in the middle. It is best for each side to set forth a new offer, one more generous to their opponent than the original, and if possible, have a neutral party offer a third middle ground offer. The players then choose the most appropriate one and move on. Ties are a difficult and tenuous matter. Hard and fast mechanics are too rigid to govern the myriad of situations that will arise in play during using these mechanics. But it is important to remember that neither side has won. If a solid compromise can be reached, great. If not, perhaps it's time to escalate. It is at this point we can either just not resolve anything, come up with a compromise solution, or we can go to fight and try to kill each other. Those are our options here.
I don't think it would come to that.
I don't think it would come to that either.
Neither of them really want to engage in a martial fight.
No, I don't think so.
What does a compromise look like in this scenario then?
So, looking at our statements of purpose, your condition was if Nousha wins, the Marshal will provide her with resources and no longer treat her as a prostitute. Mine was if the Marshal wins, Nousha will follow her orders pliantly. And both sides both parties must agree to a point that sits squarely in the middle. So I would propose this. The Marshal will provide you with resources, but still treat you as her prostitute. That's my proposition as a tie.
Mm-hmm.
So
that seems to fit the middle ground of Nousha's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But she, I mean, and again, this doesn't she can't guarantee that pliancy.
No.
None of this is going to shift the character's actual motivations or.
Yes, it will not shift the motivations. This is much more about obligations.
Right.
So you may be pliant, but it doesn't mean you have to like it, right? So
I think that fits too in terms of escalating it into possibly a genuine seething hatred on Nousha's part.
Yes. Yes, totally.
One that is more likely to I think even bring Long Wei into it too, because if I can see her wanting to genuinely remove kill the Marshal.
Yep.
But struggle to find the means to do so.
Right. Absolutely.
Done.
Okay. Cool.
I think that works. I think it's along the lines of Nousha just kind of biting her tongue and grinning and bearing it. That.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. So here we go. Duel of Wits 1. Writing this out. The Marshal will provide Nousha with resources, and Nousha will uncomplainingly act as her prostitute. So it has nothing to do with Nousha's intentions or feelings. It's just this is
the agreement.
This is the agreement. Okay, I'm gonna make that even smaller still. All right, so I put that on our main page so that we can always remember that it's there.
Okay.
I'll move you back to the main page. Okay.
You may want to delete 2. Is that how many of the fate points I use? Yeah.
Okay.
Delete 2.
You delete 2, and she is down to 0 persona. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So now, so what do you say in response to her dismiss?
I think she'll want something in writing. She knows how tricky the Marshal is.
Okay.
It's something along the lines of, while I ready myself, put your calligraphy skills to good use and draw up the terms of uh, and draw up a banknote. I don't know exactly what currency they're using.
Well, what about this? Why don't you just demand what it is you want, and
Okay,
she'll
so yeah,
assent to
if
that.
if I'm to be a prostitute, I'll expect payment,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like any other, uh, and demand. I'm trying to think of what she would most. She's obviously isn't going to get like carte blanche, but
Yeah, so it's important that you specify like something that what resources do you actually want access to?
what do you think would be helpful in terms of achieving that goal monetarily?
Um, it could be cash to bribe people. It could be what else could it be? You already have a bodyguard. I don't think you need like a soldier to follow you around.
Say
It.
cash and finery. I don't know if finery would necessarily fit
Oh
for
yeah,
the
like
type of interrogation she's trying to do, but maybe oh
do you want spies?
probably not, because I don't think she wants to be more tied to
Mm-hmm. Okay.
the marshal's services than she needs to be. But something along like I don't know if there would be a writ or like a something to show the authority of the
Oh yeah, sure.
Xia.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
Um,
Okay, yeah. So you get like a like
that she can pull out if need be, because I think she's still trying to masquerade under the
Mm-hmm.
auspices of the Guild of Notaries.
Yeah,
But
so you get like a writ inscribed with her personal seal as Marshal, right?
right,
So so okay, so you're gonna get the
she can
writ,
flash the badge basically.
yeah, and you're gonna get cash.
Right,
So how much cash she can provide to you is something we'll have to figure out afterwards. But
right. It'd be like a
uh,
resources roll on her part.
she says, she like looks at you for a moment, like she's standing up, has her voice raised. There's like a guard who's like looking into the room, like is everything okay in here? And she like waves him away dismissively and says, of course, it will all be provided. Now, come to my bed. We have an evening to spend together.
All right, Nousha will definitely down that plum wine.
Yeah, 100%. Oh. Okay, I think we're probably good for this session.
This is
Um,
I like that this is gonna fuel the fire. I think
yeah.
she needs two antagonists, two fronts here to play.
Mm-hmm. That's very good. Yeah. No, it'd be
And I
the.
like the idea. I'm probably next session trying to see if we can try and get Long Way uh, to mobilize in some way
Yeah,
against
like
her.
I think it'll be like the first thing that happens is you go out and he's waiting for you, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. So, yes, very much so. Okay, so let's look at your beliefs, instincts, and traits, or your beliefs and instincts, I guess. Okay, so your beliefs. A collapse of the peace tree will disgrace my brother. I will sabotage the reparations payments to cause chaos. Don't think you
Still
worked.
baby steps toward it, but nothing.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
it's significant. Um, the marshal is fond of me. I will manipulate her to restore the standing of my beloved. I think you didn't work towards that this time because you didn't bring up that topic, right?
mhm.
You chose to
Well,
make the hill you were going to die on this question of autonomy, right?
would she though? But to challenge that, I mean, she would never bring up the standing of her beloved until absolutely necessary.
Um but
She got the cash, right? Does that? Which I imagine probably, even
if your
though
intent is to use that cash to restore his standing, then
I
yes,
think it
that
is. I
makes
think
sense.
part of it is that she's trying to use that. She could probably, or at least thinks that with her own skills, she could achieve these goals without
Okay.
more of the marshal's help. But this is
Okay.
a nest egg or a something to funnel into.
Okay,
that.
good. So yeah, so you can take a fate point for that. Yeah.
Okay, up to 3. Target of the merchant's ire should be my brother. I'll deceive them into thinking I'm acting on his orders. Definitely not.
Not yet. So when doing work, always cover my tracks. I don't think that played in.
Not necessarily. No.
Always remember slights against me.
Oh hell yeah. Well, at least she's
Yeah.
got one to remember. I don't know if it
Uh,
applies to
yeah.
getting our.
So did that get you into trouble? I think that's going to be a thing that comes up later, but that's
will later, yeah.
definitely that you have a good reason to remember slights now.
Right.
And when pressed by an authority figure, always yield. You did not do that, so you chose to play against your instinct. Yeah, so that's cool. So what that means is you, for Artha, let's see. So,
oh, sorry. Before I forget, should I have marked an advancement for Ugly Truth or not? Because that was a positive roll.
Yes, you still, you definitely mark it.
Still do. Okay.
Yeah. You always mark on a success. It's only some things you don't mark on a failure.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But that's just for untrained ones, right? Your actual skills you only mark on a failure.
No, you mark both.
Oh, okay.
There's only some things that don't count.
I missed a soothing platitudes earlier. Would that have been a routine or difficult?
It should have said on
challenging.
Oh, you mean during the duel? That's
Yeah.
challenging. Yeah, challenging. Yeah.
Challenging. Okay. Got that. Okay, caught up.
Okay, so humor, I don't think came up here. Right skill, right time, don't think it came up. I would probably say you can take Mold Breaker. If a player comes to a point in the story where his beliefs, instincts, and traits conflict with a decision he must make, a direction in which he must go, and he plays out the inner turmoil, the conflict within his own guts in a believable, engaging manner, then he earns a persona point. So this is, for playing against your instinct, like as hard as you possibly could, right? I think you can take a persona point for that.
Okay. What page is that on again? The
64. 64. And Qiaolian, let's see if she can get some fate, because she's in bad shape. So, I've sworn to work against my orders from the Emperor. I will keep this from all except my cousin. Not relevant. Nousha was a most useful accompaniment this evening. It is time I put her to work. I will send her to collect from the head of the Armorers Guild. Did not get that. Nousha has proven to be both cunning and lovable. I will use her as befits her character.
That definitely fits.
I think that definitely fits. I'm wondering, is that persona or is that fate? I feel like
she didn't get to use her exactly as she would have wanted. She would have wanted to, basically, without paying more than she needs to.
Right. Well,
had she won the Duel of Wits, definitely, but as a tie, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, I'll give her a fate point for that. And never overlook a slight to my station. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You said, "Oh, we're partners." Like, fuck you, no. Yeah. And always find a use for my lessers. I think also gets her fate point. So she got 3 fate. Okay. She's not about to die. Okay, great. So that is the end of all the mechanical stuff. Do you have any stars for this session?
I like the kind of back and forth nature of the Duel of Wits.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely something that like both parties absolutely need to know exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
The cheat sheet did help in that regard.
Yeah.
But I do like. I think it's come closer to simulating an actual rhetorical argument better than anything else I've seen in an RPG.
Right.
It's not just a straight skill roll. It's basically an actual argument.
Yeah, it's like because you have to have the role playing aspect, the
Mhm.
improv aspect, and then also the sort of formal aspect that goes with the mechanics.
I think just the fact that it breaks it into the multiple volleys is pretty clever. Like
Yeah,
it's not just one persuasion roll and you're done. It's multiple steps, each
yeah,
of which is probably going to be radically different.
yeah. And if it was a more simplified thing, it would be maybe harder to figure out exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah, if it
Um,
were, I could see maybe another system breaking it down into like three, like a rock paper scissors. But I think that also
mm-hmm.
cuts against what an actual argument is. It's not just this beats this beats that. It's not StarCraft. It's
Right.
there's a lot more to it.
Yeah. Okay. So my star, I think, yeah, just like star to you for playing through a duel of wits, and hey, you got to a tie. That's pretty good,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, that's not bad at all. And wishes. Do you have a wish?
I definitely want to see a way to again work long way into
Mm-hmm.
originally into the plans, but now I like that it's into almost a kind of a vengeance pact, really. Like
Yes.
uh, that I can see uh, both of them, even depending on how we play long way, but both of them kind of losing sight for his goal
Mm-hmm.
and moving more into the sense of revenge. And seeing if there's a way to tie that into. So I don't know, but that could be
Cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so my wish is I I wish yeah, I don't know if Qiaolian is going to change that goal about getting you to go talk to the
Oh yeah,
because
to the armor's
here's
guild.
the thing is I think I might change that just because I really want to get to a scene with Long Wei.
Uh-huh.
So we'll have to talk about that in terms of like what is Nousha gonna go do,
I
right?
think it's still possible to use that one. Maybe that's the intended mission for
Yeah,
Long Way
it's
along. I mean,
just
even if they're talking to an armorer's guild, he's definitely going to know more about the subject than
right. Sure, okay.
she would
It's just yeah. I was
from his
thinking.
warrior background.
I was thinking when we came into this session that that would be the thing we would end up Duel of Witsing over
Mm-hmm.
because it would be like you got to go talk to this guy that you just lied to his face.
Right, right.
But maybe she'll just do as told here and try to be cunning. I don't know. Or maybe maybe we'll just use a persuasion test or something instead of
Yeah, well, regardless, I mean, it could break down into a duel of wits, but since she's laid the groundwork, who knows?
yeah.
Granted, some of that groundwork's going to bite her in the ass. Like, you think
Mm-hmm.
she's somebody else entirely, but
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so we'll figure that out. How that goes. But I really do want to get to a scene with Long Wei in the next session. So
yeah, for
I don't want the whole session to be arguing over what Nusha's mission should be.
right,
Which is kind of how I feel it would play out if we went to a duel of wits.
right, right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Cool.
cool. So thanks. Thanks to anybody who watched this session. I hope you put up with our floundering around with the rules.
That's Burning Wheel.
Yeah, it's Duel of Wits is exciting. It's fun, but it is a lot to think about. So there you go. If you haven't seen it before, you've seen it now. So I'll stop the recording here. I'll see you next time.